America's grocery stores are disappearing, not slowly and not quietly. In 2025, more than 8,000 retail stores closed across the United States. Grocery chains were not immune. Regional supermarkets shut down without warning. 100-year-old brands retreated to tiny shadows of what they once were. A tech giant that spent billions trying to reinvent the supermarket walked away entirely. And the communities left behind when the last grocery store in a neighborhood closes have a name, food deserts, and there are more of them every single year. These are the 9 grocery chains falling apart in 2026. Number 9. Homeland Stores and United Supermarkets. A 39-year-old regional grocery chain operating across Oklahoma. And in 2026, it is closing, consolidating, and selling 17 locations. For some communities, this is not an inconvenience. It is the end of the only grocery store within a reasonable drive. The company is transitioning 3 United Supermarket locations into Homeland stores. It has marked 10 additional Homeland locations for sale with no confirmed timeline for what replaces them. And in the markets where neither transition nor sale is possible, the stores are simply closing. When a grocery chain pulls out of a small Oklahoma town, what moves in is not a competitor. What moves in is nothing. Federal agriculture officials define a food desert as any area where at least 500 people live more than 1 mile from a supermarket. By that definition, some of the communities being abandoned by Homeland will formally qualify as food deserts the moment the last store locks its doors. Number 8. Harveys Supermarket. Harveys was a regional supermarket chain serving communities across the American Southeast. Its parent company, Southeastern Grocers, made a decision in late 2025 that effectively ended the Harveys brand. 8 locations were closed or transitioned as part of a broader restructuring. The brand, which had been a neighborhood institution for thousands of families, was folded into the reorganization without ceremony. Southeastern Grocers sold Harveys locations to regional operators. Some were acquired by Rouse's Markets, others went to Food City. But the Harveys name, the familiarity, the staff who knew the regular customers, all of that is gone. What replaces it, when something replaces it at all, is a different chain with different prices and a different relationship to the community. Number 7. BI-LO. BI-LO was once one of the largest supermarket chains in the American Southeast. Thousands of locations, decades of history, a brand that generations of families in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and Tennessee associated with weekly grocery shopping. It is now fully extinct. BI-LO had already been through bankruptcy. It had already been consolidated under Southeastern Grocers alongside Winn-Dixie and Harveys. And when Southeastern Grocers restructured entirely, the brand that disappeared completely was BI-LO. No rebranding, no gradual transition. The name is gone from the American retail landscape. What happened to BI-LO is what happens when a regional grocery chain that served working-class communities for generations gets absorbed into a corporate restructuring that has no room for it. The stores were closed, the brand was retired, and the landscape moved on. Number 6. Grocery Outlet. Grocery Outlet is an 80-year-old discount grocery chain built on a simple promise: buy overstock and closeout products from major brands at deep discounts and pass the savings on to customers, the treasure hunt model. And for decades, it worked. Then the company expanded too fast. In 2026, Grocery Outlet announced the closure of 36 underperforming stores, approximately 6% of its entire fleet. 24 of those 36 are on the East Coast, representing 30% of its eastern regional footprint. The company reported a net loss of $218 million in the fourth quarter of 2025 alone. Its stock fell to an all-time low, down 43% over the past year. The CEO said it plainly on the earnings call: the company expanded too quickly, and the closures are a direct correction. Shoppers came in looking for the value and the treasure hunt experience they expected from Grocery Outlet, and left without buying because the selection was not there. The irony is that the discount grocery sector is one of the only parts of the industry that should be thriving right now. Inflation has been pushing American consumers toward value-oriented shopping for years. Aldi is opening nearly 200 new stores toward a target of 3,200 locations by 2028. The discount model works, just not for everyone who tries it. Number 5. Albertsons. Albertsons spent 2 years trying to merge with Kroger in what would have been the largest grocery merger in American history. The deal collapsed in December 2024 when federal and state antitrust regulators blocked it. The companies had spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the attempt. It did not matter. The failure of that merger left Albertsons in a difficult position. In 2025, the company eliminated 380 corporate jobs and closed 20 store locations. It is a company that bet its strategic future on a merger that did not happen and is now navigating a path forward without the scale advantages that deal would have provided. Number 4. Amazon Fresh. Amazon spent billions of dollars trying to reinvent the American supermarket. It built a network of Amazon Fresh stores featuring cashierless just-walk-out technology, cameras and sensors that allowed shoppers to grab items and leave without waiting in a checkout line. It was presented as the future of grocery retail. In January 2026, Amazon announced it would shut down the entire Amazon Fresh physical store chain. Not restructure, not close underperforming locations, shut down the entire concept. The retreat of Amazon Fresh is one of the most significant signals in recent retail history. It tells you that even the best resource technology company in the world could not crack the code of profitable neighborhood grocery retail. Running a physical grocery store requires mastery of supply chains, perishable food management, local customer relationships, and razor-thin margins. It turns out these are genuinely hard problems that do not yield to technology investments alone. The communities that built their shopping habits around Amazon Fresh locations are now figuring out where to go. Number 3. Winn-Dixie. Winn-Dixie opened its first store in Miami in 1925. For 100 years, it was a Southern institution. Across Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Florida, Winn-Dixie was where people bought their groceries. It was where families shopped before holidays. It was where neighborhood economies anchored. In early 2026, Southeastern Grocers rebranded as the Winn-Dixie Company and announced a radical contraction. 32 Winn-Dixie stores across Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Mississippi were sold to other operators. 8 Harveys Supermarket locations were closed or sold alongside them. The surviving Winn-Dixie Company is now focused almost entirely on Florida and select Georgia markets. What that means in practice is that Winn-Dixie, a brand that operated across 6 states and hundreds of communities for a century, now essentially no longer exists outside of Florida. In Immokalee, Florida, the closure of the last Winn-Dixie in the area left the community without a full-service grocery store at all. Immokalee is one of the lowest-income areas in Collier County. Federal officials confirmed it now meets the definition of a food desert. Residents who depended on that store for decades are now traveling outside of their community for food. Aldi is expected to eventually take over the space, but Aldi does not accept women, infants, and children benefits. WIC requires specific name-brand formulas that Aldi does not stock. The replacement, when it arrives, does not serve the same community the same way, a 100-year-old brand, and communities paying the price. Number 2. Kroger. Kroger is the largest traditional supermarket chain in the United States. It operates approximately 2,700 stores across 35 states. It is not going out of business. But in 2025 and 2026, Kroger is contracting in ways that have not been seen in recent company history. The company announced in June 2025 that it would close 60 stores over an 18-month period. It shut down 9 fulfillment centers. It eliminated approximately 1,700 jobs. These are the actions of a company restructuring after the collapse of its proposed Albertsons merger, cutting costs in a competitive landscape where Aldi and Walmart and dollar stores are all taking grocery market share. But for the communities where those 60 stores are located, the strategic rationale does not change what happens on the ground. Kroger is closing the grocery store in their neighborhood. And a Kroger closure in a town without many other options is not just a retail event, it is the creation of a food desert. The new Kroger CEO made a public commitment to lowering prices to compete. The company is investing in digital grocery and its remaining physical locations, but the direction is unmistakable. Fewer stores focused on the highest performing markets, leaving the rest behind. Number 1. The American food desert, not a single chain, a system. Since the year 2000, the number of independent and regional grocery stores operating in the United States has fallen dramatically. National chains have closed underperforming locations in neighborhoods that did not generate sufficient margins, and the places left behind have a consistent profile. They are lower income, they are rural, they are communities of color, and they are places where people are already managing economic stress without additional burdens. The United States Department of Agriculture estimates that tens of millions of Americans live in food deserts, areas where access to affordable, quality fresh food is severely limited. That number grows every time a grocery chain closes a location and nothing moves in to replace it. What moves in instead, when anything moves in at all, is a dollar store. Dollar stores sell shelf-stable packaged goods. They do not sell fresh produce in any meaningful way. They do not stock the proteins and vegetables that constitute a healthy diet. But they are what the market produces when neighborhood grocery retail becomes unprofitable. The individual stories on this list, Homeland, Harveys, BI-Lo, Grocery Outlet, Albertsons, Amazon Fresh, Winn-Dixie, Kroger, are each real and each consequential. But together they tell a larger story about what is happening to American food infrastructure. The grocery store is one of the most essential businesses in a community. It is where people feed their families. It is a measure of whether a neighborhood is considered viable by the market. And the market right now is saying no to a lot of American neighborhoods. America's grocery landscape is not collapsing entirely. Aldi is growing aggressively. Walmart grocery is gaining market share. Online delivery is expanding access for people with the internet access and income to use it. But the communities being abandoned by the chains on this list are not the communities that benefit most from those alternatives. They are the communities that had one grocery store and now have none. Tomorrow we continue documenting what is happening to American retail. Subscribe before the next video drops.